Hello and welcome back to Unwinding Minds. If we haven't met before, hello, I'm Rosie. I'm a counsellor who specialises in working with chronically ill, disabled and neurodiverse clients. I work in private practice as a counsellor, but I also make these videos on the side to help and support more widely in the mental health field. And in this video, I want to talk about doing things differently and doing them without shame. We'll explore internalized performance of normality, what it means to live with chronic illness, and practice real self-compassion, and how to start working with yourself instead of constantly fighting against yourself. A client said something to me recently that really resonated and really transformed my way of looking at things. So I decided that I would make a video about it because it may be that it helps somebody else as well. I think that some people are surprised to hear that this does happen. I think some people have the impression of counselling that in the therapeutic relationship there is, I guess, a process that happens to them rather than a two-way street where there are exchanges of information. My clients are frequently extremely insightful and wise, and they give me as many new insights as I end up giving them in sessions. And that's very much the joy of a shared relationship with another human being. That connection, it brings out different things in me and in them. What came up for me after this session I had with the client was around the unity of mind and body, how they act together in tandem, and a personal difficulty that I've struggled with, which I think many others might relate to. I wanted to share it in case it helps someone else to use similar tools and to move through this if it is a challenge that they also face. It's about how the brain responds to instructions and how sometimes the way we talk to ourselves can either make life harder or easier. The light bulb moment came when my client was describing how vocal instructions in a yoga class led naturally into movement. The teacher would speak, the body would follow, and the mind didn't have to overthink it. It struck me that I often find it easier to engage in an activity when I'm not mentally doing the thinking at the same time as the action, when I can just follow and go into a flow. For instance, I find guided meditation so much easier than meditating alone. There's something very grounding about being led in meditation, about letting another voice hold the structure while your mind and body just respond. It creates a sense of unity and flow, and it removes some of the cognitive demand. In the same way, when a yoga instructor gives verbal directions, that rhythm of instruction and action, it gives you something coherent to focus on. It brings the scattered parts of the self into alignment. And if you struggle with focus, that is really very valuable. And that's where my own struggle comes in. Scattered thoughts, restlessness, the difficulty of keeping concentration steady long enough to finish even small daily tasks. It's something that I know many people live with, whether it's through ADHD, anxiety, chronic pain, or simply the overload that comes in modern life. Our minds drift and our bodies resist, and the connection between the two sometimes feels very thin. So I've been thinking about ways to gently strengthen that connection, ways to bring more simplicity into the daily rhythm of life. One idea that came as I was thinking about this was recording myself giving me verbal instructions for daily routines that I often find difficult to complete. So here's the crux of that idea. I start by recording myself, talking through an activity, say brushing my teeth or tidying my space, and then I play the audio back later as I do it. And that way I can put my headphones in the morning, listen and just follow along. It becomes less about forcing motivation, planning through all of the activities, and more about being guided by a structure that already exists. It keeps me present, helps me to remember what I'm doing, and it removes that extra layer of mental effort. And doing that gives my brain a sense of cohesion. This is what we're doing. We are here. This is the present moment. And in that way, it's a kind of mindfulness. but one that's already been gently prepared in advance. A pre-planned mindfulness that helps me be in the moment without needing to fight my own distractions. It's structure in the service of presence. For someone living with a chronic illness, this approach might be more powerful for them. When energy, focus, or motivation fluctuate with the illness, having pre-recorded instructions can reduce the load, the cognitive load, and remove decision fatigue. It creates a sense of rhythm and continuity when your body or mind doesn't always want to cooperate. And so it becomes an act of kindness towards yourself. Instead of forcing yourself to match someone else's pace or standard, you can design a process that meets you where you are. Instead of pushing your body to meet an impossible external standard, you can say to yourself, here's a way I can support myself as I am today. It's a practical kind of compassion, designing a process or routine that meets you exactly where you are on good days and on bad ones. It's not about doing less, it's about doing differently and giving yourself permission for that to be enough, with kindness and respect for your limitations and strengths. Your body and mind need rest, and you can find ways to adapt your activities to make them work for you rather than against you. Of course, there are other ways to achieve the same thing. Some people might prefer visual cues instead of verbal ones. Maybe a chart or a checklist or a pictograph showing each step of a routine. I'm very much an auditory processor, so sound works best for me, but I appreciate that this is not accessible for everybody, and it may not be the best way of you getting through a task. In a strange way, it's a bit like body doubling with yourself when you have a recording. Traditional body doubling often works because there's accountability, of course, another person who is witnessing your effort. And that accountability can make it easier to stay on track. When you're using your own recorded voice, that accountability isn't the same. You could just choose not to play it after all. But there's a sense of gentle companionship. It's a voice that's saying you're not alone in a really practical way, that you can do it together. And that small shift from forcing yourself to supporting yourself can change everything. Instead of battling the mind or berating the body, you're giving both something to hold on to. The result is often less overstimulation, fewer intrusive thoughts, and a more peaceful kind of focus. If you relate to these ideas, by the way, please let me know in the comments below, and let me know how you've learned to do things differently. And don't forget to like and subscribe if you want more conversations like this. I'm always happy to hear what people think. At the heart of all this is the idea that doing things differently doesn't mean doing them wrong. We live in a world that absolutely loves conformity, where routines and habits are kind of supposed to look a certain way, all linear and neat and efficient, but real life's not like that. People are chaotic and messy and brilliant, and the stuff that we expect to be linear often isn't. There are no normal ways to do things. And yet, so many of us live as if someone is grading us on how normal we appear. So I often ask clients, who are you performing for? Who decided what doing it right looks like? And why would we keep performing for an audience that may not even exist? If your way of functioning looks different, that doesn't make it lesser. If using a recording helps you to stay grounded and focused, or taking 5 breaks instead of 1 helps you to get through the day, or lying down while folding laundry keeps you from collapsing, that's not strange, it's adaptive behaviour, and that's very intelligent. What harm would it truly do to go with these needs? Working with your brain and body is far more constructive than fighting against or expecting them to behave like everybody else's. If something works for others, that's wonderful, but that doesn't mean it's meant for you. The important thing is to find what truly supports you and your body. So if putting in an earbud and following a step-by-step instruction helps you to brush your teeth every day, then by all means do it. If it helps you to cook a meal, start your day, or finally finish one small task that's been hanging over you, do it. It doesn't harm anyone. The goal isn't perfection, it's participating in your own life, in whatever way you personally can manage. You might feel self-conscious for doing things differently. You might feel like you're failing some kind of invisible test, but ask yourself, what's the purpose of that self-judgment? Who benefits from you being hard on yourself? I think that there's something to be said for the fact that we can get very used to, as we're growing up, being told to do things. Go clean your room, go brush your teeth, go to bed. And those things can be very gentle, sometimes not so gentle, depending on the parent, but those things can be reminders, external reminders that help you to stay on task and stay focused. And then as you become an adult, those things obviously fall away. For almost everybody, when they move out of home, if they are able to do so, there are no external reminders anymore. There's no way of keeping a flow of routine. For many people who are very poor at building or maintaining routines, recording yourself and listening to the audio later on could be a way of helping your brain just to create its own kind of rhythm and routine. There's no need to be socially vigilant, not with others and certainly not with yourself. You deserve to create systems and habits that are functional for you, even if they don't look like anyone else's. You deserve to move at your own pace, in your own rhythm, with kindness instead of comparison as your motivator, because there is no wrong way to live a life that works for you. So those are just some thoughts that I wanted to share. If you've made it to the end, I am very grateful to you for spending this time with me today. And if you've enjoyed it, don't forget to like the video, or if you've learned something, you could choose to subscribe and turn on the notifications, particularly if you'd like to see more videos like this. We cover many aspects of living with chronic illness, disability, neurodivergence, and other mental health challenges on this channel, and we do upload quite frequently. And do check the description if you're interested in working with me on a one-to-one basis around simplifying your routines so that they support you better, as I do also offer private counselling in my private practice. Thank you so much for watching, and take really good care.